All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Morning, guys. Margin, Aiden, Dangerous, Dino, Darth, Chef Joe, Ghost. What's up, guys? All right. Morning, everyone. Morning, David, Pura Vida. All right. So today, I got a good watch. Definitely a top one that I'm going to start getting a little bit more interested in here today. We'll talk about it. The market is in consolidation mode. After yesterday, you can really start to see the channel. It's a very defined channel now on the S&P and on the NASDAQ. So we got to be a little bit careful here. The break and retest strategy is definitely a strategy that requires continuation. So every strategy has its kryptonite, right? Everything that you guys may trade, there's something that you don't want to happen. And for me, it's sideways. Sideways consolidation, sideways action is possible to catch intraday action, but it's a little bit more difficult when you're not on a nice trend in a single direction. That's either upside or downside. But sideways is a little bit of a kryptonite. It's not a full kryptonite, but it makes you have to be a little bit cautious, a little bit more precise, a little bit more just scale down, right? Don't get too aggressive. Let the market stay sideways. Don't try to force something that's not there, right? All these things are definitely important now that we're starting to see the S&P 500 go pretty much sideways for the last 3 or 4 trading days. So we'll talk about it today. I'll break down those levels on the ES. Definitely some key spots to be watching. Yesterday, another nice rejection of that 6,800 high. Actually caught a really nice trade yesterday that sort of just murked away by some losses. All right, so I had a 100% trade yesterday on the QQQ, which was actually one of the best trades of the day. And unfortunately, it only just made back the losses on the day, which is good. Right? It's good. But it's sort of, wish it was only that win, not making back the losses. So it is what it is. Good win to make back some losses yesterday, and we walk away pretty much on a nothing day. Sideways is bad for option traders, not for futures. Yeah, I mean, yeah, everything's got its downsides. So, yeah, I mean, you can definitely trade options in this market right now. You just have to be more precise. You got to have the right entry, and you have to let it, you want it to see it continue pretty quickly in your direction so you don't get affected by any of the Greeks. But yeah, totally. Appreciate that. What currency is that? Bajarnison. NOK. What currency is that? That sounds like I want to figure that out. Who can tell me? NOK. What is that? NOK. Norwegian kroner. Wow. See, I really wish I could appreciate that. B, I'm going to call you B. I really wish I could just withdraw that and we could keep a collection of all the different currencies. The Norwegian kroner. Wow. NOK. Huh. I've never heard of that. That's pretty cool. Appreciate that, my friend. All right. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's jump in. That mic's making some noises, I think. Hold on. All right. Good to go. Ooh, what's that currency? What's that? Hold on here. Whoa. Ori. Thank you, brother. Who can tell me what that is? Is Liam gone? Yes, he is, sadly. I'm a little sad about it. A little sad about it. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. All right. Let's jump in. So, we have one problem today, my friends. There is one problem that you need to be paying attention to that happened yesterday that you cannot lose sight of. Something very important happened yesterday, and I'm going to break that down for you right now. So, the short that I took yesterday was the break and retest of previous day lows, which you guys know is just an awesome look all of the time. So, that was right here. This was our trade yesterday. We took this QQQ put option right here on a break and retest rejection of the previous day lows, the Monday low a day. We had this chart. We had this level. We said, hey, the bulls need to hold above the previous day lows, right? We cannot see that fail. If we go to the ES, we can see right here the previous day lows, the Monday lows. Let me go ahead and mark that out real quick. The Monday lows, actually I have that, was 67.66. And we can see here on the ES yesterday, we saw a failure right around that 67.66 after this bear flag right here. And that was the downside move that I caught. So that was a really nice just break and retest of the Monday low. It was based off of a key inflection point. We could not fail back under that level. We failed right back under pre-market highs. Look how beautiful that opportunity presented itself yesterday. Finally, a really clean downside move on the intraday. Really, there was no, shockingly, there was no games played here. Really, it was just a nice break. It was a nice retest. It was a retest in that pre-market high, pre-market low in that previous day low, and it was a nice failure move. Pretty much instantly down to the QQQ gap fill, which I will get into momentarily. So that was beautiful, and that trade was the best trade of my day yesterday. And now today, my friends, you can see that we are still failing that level. So what does this mean? This means you need to stay open to the downside today. You do need to stay open to the potential of downside today, much more than we had to yesterday. We have now seen, right, a failure back under this previous low from Monday. And now that previous hold level right here, see this hold level that was sort of maintaining the market? That is now turning into a very visible and very clear rejection point. So this is a potential flip, right? This is a little bit of a potential flip. And you can see this is sort of a bigger bear flag on the QQQ market right now, right? Break, retest. This is definitely a possibility, and I would definitely be watching this today. Please be careful of this before you go long anything. You really would like to see us reclaim this Monday low a day on the QQQ before looking to even long this demand low, right? This demand low is definitely potentially a hold level today, right? We could just see this, and then this, and then this, and then this, right? That's very possible that this demand low still holds tight, and this demand low still holds tight, right? That's very possible. However, I would not want to long this low unless you now see a reclaim back over these highs, right? I would want to see us hold this low, turn this into a nice demand again, and then have enough juice to get a reclaim, the reclaim ripper, right? Without that, you are at risk of just longing back into this rejection point, and that's just not that exciting at the moment. So, reclaim over 25.108, 25.127 is definitely the key for me to be looking for upside today. Without that, I will definitely be still staying on the potential of this bear flag being a real possibility. Now, here's the problem, right? It's a bear flag but it's all within a channel, okay? It's a bear flag, but it is still all within a channel, and it is a bear flag, and we are still above the daily 20. So it's a very interesting short-term look. I see it. I definitely see it. It's definitely a real possibility of a lower high, lower low type of action here. That is super possible, but you really need to be careful of this demand still. All of yesterday's lows, and then again you need to be careful here at this Friday low a day, 24,888, right? You really need to be cautious of how much you trust that downside move into yesterday's lows, okay? Just because you're rejecting this high does not mean it is for sure that you are going to break under this yesterday consolidation and bounce low, all right? That is very possible that you just see this pull back into this low again and then just bounce again, and then we just spend the day within this channel. That is very possible. So stay open to all of those options. Stay open to this failing, stay open to this low holding, and understand that you really are within this tight channel here for the day. And to really get a good move today, you're either going to want to see a reclaim back above this high, or you're going to want to see a drop down below this low. This is not shutdown related, guys. This is simply a supply rejection of the exact same highs from Monday. That's all it is. Not everything on this market is news related, okay? Whenever we see a move, everyone thinks it's news related. I don't believe it's very rarely news related. It's just a rejection of this high. That's it. It's just technical analysis. You rejected here Monday. You rejected here again yesterday. That's it. You held here. You held here. You could hold here again. It's just the market moving, right? The market is just moving inside of this range. That's it. It's nothing that you start making big ideas. Oh, this is the high. I have to short this. It's, you know, the market's, you know, it's just play the levels. Play the levels. So today, I'll look for this to be a level to reject. I'll be careful of this level to hold. If this level breaks, I will look for more downside to this level. If that level breaks, I will look for more downside to the daily 20, right? If this level holds, I will look for upside back to this level. If this level breaks, I will look for a break and retest of all-time highs, right? That's it. I don't care about government shutdown. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. All I care about is whether this level holds, right? The selling pressure yesterday, if you started to get a grand idea yesterday that, you know, this market just topped and you're like, oh, I don't care about this demand, I'm going to short the low a day, well, you lost, right? So no matter what's going on in the market, the levels still show you a trade, right? It's just simply how it is. So if you break yesterday's lows, then yes, more downside, right? That pressure could come in again, and we trade the downside. If this level here stays as a rejection point, that could continue putting pressure to the downside, and that would be potentially a reason to look for downside today, right? It's based off of the levels. That's how you have to trade. Why do you have to trade based off the levels versus something floating in the economic news, right? You need to have a system. You need to have a reason to stay in or exit a trade, okay? You will not have a reason in your mind to stay in or exit a trade if it is based off of something that is not on the chart, right? You are, at the end of the day, trading what's on the chart. So if I want to stay short this market, then I need to stay short as long as we're under this level, right? As long as we're under this level, I want to stay short, right? That's a very clear reason to stay short. So that gives me a structure to the trade that I'm in, right? You can actually say to someone, hey, I'm short because we're under Monday's low a day. Great. Great, right? I like that. That's fine. You have a reason for it. You are trading off of a key level. So if it does get back above Monday low day, then you have a reason to exit, right? You actually have a structure to what you're doing. Now, if you just enter this put option because, you think the market should go lower, I guarantee you're going to hold that put when this holds and it goes higher, then you're not going to believe it, right? And you're going to add more to this because you're not going to believe that it's higher. And then it's going to break over all-time highs and you're going to think that this is just irrational and you're going to add more to your put option, right? So if you actually trade something based off of a key level, then you have a place to stay in, a place to exit, a place to structure your idea, right? That's why you have to trade off levels, because you're trading actually what's on the chart rather than just some, big idea in your head. It's very important. I'm telling you, man, it's very important, because I used to do this. I used to just think that the market should go up or should go down, and I'm not basing it off of anything. I'm trading based off of vibes, and I'm hoping that it continues. But then you get stuck when you're in that trade. You have no idea when to exit. You have no idea when to exit. You have no idea when you're wrong. You have no idea when you're looking good, when you're looking bad. You just don't know. You're just flying blind. Don't fly blind in your trades. Please structure them off of spots on the market. Okay? So, with that tangent out of the way, I'll continue. Here's your highs. Here's your lows. You need to get a move outside of that today. QQQ, same thing. Look how clear, right? Look what the QQQ is doing right now. The QQQ is turning Monday lows into rejection points at 606. That is a reason to look for downside. Israeli, shekel. Palantir, you got it, Ori. Thank you, brother. So this is a reason to stay short, right? This is definitely a reason to look for the potential short today. Look at that flip. You have flipped from Monday lows, turning into support, into it turning into rejections on Wednesday, right? That is a reason to look for downside. Now, the reason to be cautious on downside, equally as important, is Thursday's lows. It is these lows here from yesterday at 603. What else was that? That was the gap fill that we have been waiting on. So we filled that gap yesterday. If you guys remember, we had this gap to fill right here down to this low right here at 603. We had this low a day, right? This is where this day closed. And this is where this day, the open of this day was 608.45. This was your open right here. So right here was a gap, right, on the QQQ. You filled that yesterday, right? So that is important. You need to pay attention to the fact that the QQQ has this low here. It has these lows from Friday, and it has these lows from yesterday. And so does the QQQ instantly have to break this low? No, right? No. The QQQ, just because it's rejecting one low a day, does not mean that it has to break yesterday's lows. The QQQ could trap in a lot of shorts here looking for this rejection, and then it could just hold this low again. That's very possible. Right, so I'm not that fond. Like, this is a good-looking rejection, and if you want to trade it, you're going to have to be short, like, right at 606. You cannot... This is the problem with channels, right? If you want to trade this short at 606... you better have an entry up here. If you start getting sloppy and you're taking an entry down here and this low holds again, then you have negative risk reward here. Let's say your entry point is right here and this is the low, right? Technically, your target on the downside is this low and your risk is this high. That's negative risk reward. So if you're going to trade this tight channel between the 606 rejection to the 603 demand, you better have an entry point up here near supply and targeting that 603 low. Right? That's how precise you have to be if you're going to trade this tight of a channel, which is around a 3-point channel. So the other option would be to see if you fail under previous day lows. Now, if you see a failure under yesterday's lows, that could be a reason to look for more downside back towards 600. Right? That's a possibility. So that's something we can keep an eye out for. But if you zoom out, right, if you zoom out, look at what you're still holding. See this over here? 603, 603, see that? Look what's happening here. It's still above it. So you need to be cautious of that holding again, right? So 603, major spot, 606, major spot. You got a 3-point channel here of very much uncertainty for me. I am not sure which way this rolls. Not yet, at least. Do you hold 603? Do you reclaim 606? Do you reject 606 and break under 603? That's going to be something I got to wait to see today. I have to wait and see it. That's it. I got to wait and see it. S&P 500, you are still very much above this major demand low, and you are very much still in this channel, right? I mean, if I delete these levels real quick, let me just delete these for you. Look at this. That's what your market looks like. Okay? That is still just a consolidation above these highs. Just because you faded this high does not mean you're going lower. When you faded this high, you did not go that much lower, right? You went here and you went back to the highs. You faded this high again, you went here. This could absolutely go back to the highs. There is nothing stopping that market from holding these highs and turning them into lows, just like it has been doing for the last 4 trading days. Can it happen again? Can it happen again? Can you break under this level? Then you look for the downside. Eduardo, it's irrelevant comment. If news comes out and this level breaks, guess what? You short it. Irrelevant comment. If this level breaks and you break that off data or news and it rejects, guess what? You react and you short it. We are paid to react to what's happening. We are not paid to predict. If the news comes out and there is no such thing as invalidating technical analysis. There is invalidating key levels, right? This level does not need to hold. This level is not meant, it doesn't mean it has to hold. If key levels always held, what would the market do? Okay? Everyone think about this. If key levels never broke for the existence of the stock market, you would go sideways forever. Into eternity. If key levels never broke, you would go sideways on the stock market for eternity. Why are key levels interesting to watch? Because when they break, they create volatility. And they create trading opportunities. So you want levels to break. You want the lows to break. You want the highs to break. You want that to happen. You don't look at this and say, these levels, if they break, I'm an idiot, right? And levels aren't working. That's wrong. That's what you want to happen. So, if this low breaks, you are looking for downside, right? But then you have to watch the daily 20, right? That's just how the market is. So, we're still holding these lows. Can they hold again? Yes. If they break, will there be a trading opportunity? Yes. And that's what we're paid to do. To react to those reactions on the market. To react to breaks of major spots. So, with that said, right, Monday low a day is right here on the ES. You can see the ES is trying to hold it. So that is definitely something you need to pay attention to today. You need to pay attention to whether the Monday low a day holds on. If that Monday low a day holds tight, then you might not go any lower. Here's your Friday lows. Right here. Short here, lost. I just don't see it. I don't see a reason to be short into these lows. If you break under this 67.36, if you break under maybe Thursday's lows and yesterday's lows, then maybe the pressure starts coming in and we react to that. But for now, those are some lows to be careful of shorting into. For sure. For sure. So, what is the market doing overall? Which I just really don't like today at all. You're completely sideways. You're completely sideways. SPY. Here's your SPY. Here's your major lows. They held again. Well, holds. The only thing I would really watch for today is whether the SPY can reclaim and hold above Monday's lows, which is right here. I'm just going to put a line there, actually. So this is your Monday low a day right here. 669.46, Monday low a day. That's something I'll be watching to see if that holds tight. If you fail that, maybe you go lower to the Friday low a day. Thursday high a day right here at 670.74 is becoming a rejection point. You got Thursday highs right here, right? So everything is just so tight, right? You can see all these previous highs and lows are just so tight and so close to each other. Why is that? It's because the market's consolidating, right? You haven't gotten the nice, breakout high, and then you're able to then retest that in a nice uptrend, right? You're not getting that sort of fluid action. You're basically just playing around inside of this channel. So it gets more difficult. It gets more difficult. So be aware of that. Be Pro, appreciate that, man. IWM, not bad pullback yesterday. You can see right here, back to the Monday highs right there. You did hold that pretty nicely. You did reclaim the 244.61 lows from Friday. Here's the problem, though. You got to be really cautious back into 246. 246, 246. Watch out for 246 today. I wonder if this is another potential bear flag into 246, right? Break, retest, rejection. That's possible. We'll see what happens at 246 today. Is Amazon going for it? Yeah, Amazon's interesting. That's actually, we'll get into that. That's my number one watch. We'll talk about it in a second. Okay, so I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of just the thought process here around key levels, how to react to them. It's very important. I would say just, my final thought today, my friends, is here's my final thought for you, okay? You are very clearly just trading within these two levels here, right? You can very clearly see it. You have very clear highs here. Maybe you mark out down to this 35, 36. You have very clear previous highs here, right here, and you are turning that into support still. As long as you trade within this area here, I will guarantee you that your trading will be more difficult. That I can guarantee. Trading within this range will be more difficult than trading a beautiful little break and hold above 6,800, right? If you get a beautiful little break and hold above 6,800 today, I guarantee you it'll be a lot easier to trade. But if you sort of expose yourself to the action that goes on between these highs, and as the market gets sort of pinned between them, it's going to be more difficult. So I would proceed with caution today and understand that, hey, you got to understand your strengths and weaknesses. I know my weakness is trading inside of these channels. And I'm not afraid to say that because I have my strengths. I have my very strong strengths. And my strong strengths are trusting, break and holds above or break and holds below outside of channels. But channels are typically where I will lay low and wait for something to happen. So my strength is not trading inside of this channel. We have these periods of channels in the market, and then we have those periods of expansion, right? Expansion, consolidation. And so, in my opinion, I'm going to be pretty light today. I don't see myself taking large risk. I don't see myself sizing up on anything. I just don't see the market to warrant that type of trade. So I need to remember that today as I approach the markets. That is very important. And the last thing you want to do, guys, I'm telling you, the last thing you want to do for your morale, I'm telling you from experience because I've been here, done that. The last thing you want to do for your morale as a trader is lose your money and possibly your whole account as the market goes nowhere. The last thing you want to do is look back at the market and say, wow, I just blew up my account and the market did not go anywhere. How did that happen? How did I lose my whole account and the market didn't move 0.25%? How is that possible, right? That's the last thing that you want to do, guys. Been there, done that plenty of times, man. Plenty of times. Definitely. Is today FOMC minutes? Is that actually going on today? Did I miss that? FOMC minutes. It is FOMC minutes. 2 o'clock. Okay. Is it still going on because of the shutdown? We still got that? I guess so. It's on the calendar. So, yeah, today might be, that's even more of a reason for the market to do absolutely nothing today before that. So, 2 o'clock FOMC minutes. Market in a channel. Could be one of those days you say, hey, man, looking pretty nice outside. What's it like out there today? Could be. It's starting to look like it right now, at least. All right, let's move forward. Hopefully that helps, guys. I'm telling you from a place of experience. I don't tell you this to, I'm telling you from a place of experience, man. That's where it all comes from. That's where all this thought comes from. It's from, being through these terrible times and fighting through the pain and suffering 12 years strong. You guys can go back on my YouTube channel. You can go back to the first day I posted a YouTube video. You have seen I have documented my entire journey from, 6-7 years ago. Been through it. Trust me. All right. SMH. Is it time? Right? It might be. Did I change the title of the live stream? I think I did. My original title was SMH pullback. Is it time? It might be. Here. Look at this, right? Doesn't that look? Anyone remember this? Anyone remember seeing something like this lately? This looks familiar, no? Let me tell you where that was from. Looks a little familiar, no? This over here. Anyone remember this? That looks sort of similar. Huh. So, I'm very cautious on semis today. I'm not a big fan of the semis today, long. I don't see the reason why you would be. That looks very similar. So, SMH, a little bit weak here this morning, failing under these highs, back under those highs, no bueno. If you break this low at 334, you have nothing here. Right? Pay attention to that. You got nothing right here if this breaks under this low. So, let's see. Pay attention to that today. What are some of the semis doing? Okay, ASML's falling off today. NVIDIA, AMD, slightly lower. Anything really getting hit? I think TSM. Yeah, TSM is probably the top short watch if the semis go lower. I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, Tesla. So, Tesla proved to us that you have Elon Musk selling at 450 yesterday. Not actually, but someone with similar money. 450 is no joke. Okay, yesterday Tesla made it very apparent to me that there is a massive selling at 450. I do not like longs into 450. Very clearly. I mean, yesterday you had every attempt to potentially look to break out of that level. You even tried later day yesterday, and it got demolished off that level on the news of the standard new Tesla. No business longing through this zone here. I really don't see it. This is pretty much, we have pretty much entered that period we talk about on Tesla where it goes from really sexy to not sexy at all, right? We've talked about this on Tesla before. Tesla is super sexy when you're trading in this move, right? That's when everyone makes a lot of money, when it's just sort of straight up and very clear. Tesla has entered this move, okay? And this is when everyone gives back all their profits. Everyone makes their money here, and then they lose it here. That's what Tesla's doing right now, in my opinion. You had a sexy move right here. Look at this sexy move. Sexy move. Now look what you've done. You've stayed sideways for 3 weeks now. I might be done trading Tesla for a little bit. Truthfully. I think it's time to retire the name. Because it's not providing the clarity that we want inside of this channel. It's really not. The bigger channel is between 450 and that 414.50. This is your bigger channel on Tesla. And you can clearly see that it has now entered the Chinese finger trap. In my opinion, that's what it looks like. So you could definitely hold 433 today, and you could possibly see an opportunity back to 445, 450. I would be careful of that rejecting again. You could possibly see this fail back to the daily 20 and possibly get that bounce off the daily 20 again, right? There's definitely volatility to trade inside of this zone. There is no doubt. There is volatility to trade inside of this zone. That is very apparent. You could have faded 450 yesterday. You could have longed 435. You could long 423 today. You could long 414.50. You could reject 450 again, right? There is trades to be had. But I can tell you from experience that it's going to get more difficult as Tesla stays sideways, right? It's going to be harder to trust, and it's going to be much more scammy inside of that channel. You guys know those good Tesla days, man. The good Tesla days when you just sort of mindlessly trust it going higher, or you mindlessly trust it going lower. Those are the days you want to be involved in Tesla. The days where it's pinned between key levels is just the time to run. So let's see if it can wake up again. Right now, I have the feeling that it's starting to get a little bit more difficult on that one. NVIDIA, still holding a sick level here, but I just am cautious of whether the SMH has another leg in it. You guys can see right here, NVIDIA still really, really nicely holding over major previous highs. Look at this. Creating actually a nice little flagging action, and definitely could look for the breakout, right, of another higher low. That's definitely possible still here, as long as you hold 184, 185. So let's see if NVIDIA holds that today. We shall see. AMD, not really interested in AMD up here, guys, to be honest. I just, it's getting too, I got no words. Not interested. That's my 2 words. Not interested. Maybe I'm wrong, but for me, not interested. TSM. This one's interesting to me. TSM looks like the SMH, right? Previous highs, previous highs, previous highs. Rejection, rejection, break, retest, rejection. If TSM stays under 297 today, I think you could very well see this move back down to 286. This looks very interesting today. I would be watching whether TSM gets a little bit weak. You could chart out the Friday low a day to be careful there as a potential hold level. If you break under the Friday low a day, I would potentially see that down to 286, 283. Interesting fail back under 297. That is something I would watch. Okay, those are the semis that I'm interested in. Really just NVIDIA, TSM, and SMH are the ones that I'm going to be watching. ARM is a little bit interesting. It has had a nice move. It did fill its gap, so that trade's sort of over for me. But the pullbacks would be something I'm watching. 156 pullback, back to here, and then back to the daily 20, back to 149. Those would be 2 interesting pullback opportunities that I'd watch. Okay. Apple. Nothing on Apple. Completely sideways with the market. Needs to break. Amazon. This is my top watch. I'm not sure if it's my top watch today, but it is my top watch over the next few weeks. All right, you guys know I've been talking about Amazon. We've been talking about this daily 200 SMA holding. Amazon had some news today about pharmacy kiosks, which is sort of an interesting piece of news. There's a very clear thing that Amazon needs to do to get a trade, and it's over 225, very clearly. You got to break over this 225 and this daily 20 SMA. That is very clearly what we need to see happen. If Amazon can get a break and hold over 225, I would absolutely look to navigate this to 230 right here. This is definitely interesting. You're coming off of a daily 200 SMA down here. You've consolidated at these lows for now almost 2 weeks. I would keep a very close eye on Amazon over the next few days to next few weeks. Google failed. I had a swing trade on Google yesterday that I lost on. It totally failed this high here at 252, and it failed back under the daily 20. And so for me, that trade is invalidated, and that was a loss that I took yesterday. Amazon or Google is really not interesting anymore unless it can reclaim the daily 20 for me. Besides that, if it fails that daily 20, you could look to navigate it back down to demand at 242. But for me, I'm going to probably stay away from this one. Just too tight of a channel there. Daily 20, cautious of those rejections. I don't know what the hell is going on with this stock. To be honest, this thing is just in the death spiral. Really no life at all. And I would not try to guess that this bottoms until you get back over the 100 SMA. I've been getting questions by the minute about longing Meta. And there's a very clear reason not to be long Meta as it rejects the 100 SMA. You just rejected that yesterday on the intraday, by the way. Right? Look at yesterday and look at the 100 SMA. You nailed it. You smacked right off of it. So there's no reason to long something if it's turning the 100 moving average, 100-day moving average into a rejection point. There's no reason. That, in my book, that is a very wrong thing to do. So in my book, I need this to reclaim the 100, and then maybe there's interest. You can see I have my alert set right at it, waiting to see if that happens. Until then, I leave it alone. Palantir, one of our top watches yesterday was Palantir on the reclaim of 177. That was very nice, created a nice morning volatile move to the upside, but pretty much just died off. It was just a pop and drop. There's a few stocks out there that are just too close to all-time highs for me to get that interested. And this is what keeps making this very difficult. Palantir is just still too high to this all-time high for me. It's too close. 190 all-time highs. Is there that much risk reward to be long Palantir into 190? No. If you can get a pullback to 177 again, maybe there's a nice channel long again down there. But for me, this is still very stuck under 186, and that 190 all-time high still concerns me. Hood, nice pullback. It is holding our key level. Right, you can see we were talking about this hood pullback. Not bad, but you really want to see a reclaim of PDH right here, 147. So I'm going to create an alert above that and wait to see if that hits today. A lot of waiting and seeing today. A lot of waiting and seeing. Datadog for you, Chef? Yeah, Datadog was sick, man. Datadog was definitely one that got away from me. This was a sick daily chart breakout. I have 159.54. Where do I have this from? Yeah, it's right here, Chef. Look at this high. See this high right here? 159.54. It's this daily high right here. If you can get over 159.54, then you might get that breakout. But look where you rejected yesterday. Look at the rejection yesterday on Datadog. 159.68, pretty much right at that 54 level. So, yeah, I would want to see us above that. If we can get above that, then that would be interesting. So you could set an alert above that spot. Aklo died off yesterday, failed back under 139. Now it's holding this, so you are back to holding this 131 spot, right? Which is interesting, right? Aklo possibly still sort of structuring that move higher. That's still good, technically, right? This 131 spot, I would watch it. I would probably want to see us back over this 139, though. If you can get back over 139, then you can maybe trade this back to all-time highs. But right now, you're sort of stuck in this channel right here. Watch 130, watch 139. Did UNH gap fill this morning? Okay, not quite yet, but UNH is pretty damn close. This is a beautiful 4-hour chart. Nice hold here. Healthcare is starting... What the hell? We still live? There we go. Google just totally shut down on me. I think we're still live. All right, we're good. Yeah, UNH healthcare is really a strong sector right now. Okay, let me show you something here. Let me show you a little something. When UNH started to bounce, we talked about healthcare potentially being the one to watch, right? Just sort of the XLV sector. Look at this on the XLV weekly chart. Look at this breakout on the weekly chart. Can XLV start to become the strongest sector? Very nice breakout on the XLV. Take a look at this monthly chart on Eli Lilly. This is even more interesting. Take a look at this monthly chart on Eli Lilly. Look at that. Look at that flag. Oof. Could be massive. Monthly chart. So, healthcare is a little interesting. UNH obviously continues to grind higher. What would I look for today on UNH to potentially catch this next move? I would look for a hold above Friday high a day. If UNH can hold above this Friday high a day today, over 368, I think you go gap fill. So, I'm watching that closely. I'm also watching Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly, nice previous daily highs right here. right here and right here. See those two daily highs? If you hold 825 in those daily highs, that's very good. There's a gap to fill on Eli Lilly above 851 into 882. So Eli Lilly, UNH, healthcare in general is an interesting spot to be watching. Now I'm also watching a little bit of HIMS action here, which is a little bit of healthcare. Not really, but could benefit from a healthcare move. I guess you could consider it healthcare. I'm interested to see if it catches steam because of that. This is an interesting HIMS chart as well. I haven't talked about HIMS in a long time, but HIMS is actually holding above this weekly level pretty damn nice. Take a look at this. See these HIMS lows here? And these lows right here? See those weekly lows right in that zone? You go to the daily chart, you can see HIMS has a really clean low that was established here. It had it turn it back into rejections. It turned back into rejections. And look what it's doing right now. It has held this level for like an entire month. What else is there? The daily 50, 100, and 20 SMA. And you are starting to see it, in my opinion, a little bit of a pop again off that level. Is this enough to get us through this 60 spot? That's a question that I'm going to try to answer this week into next week. Can we get this HIMS move? Can this turn into a nice demand low here? I don't know. I would be watching it though. I'm going to have an alert set over like 60, maybe 59, 60 area. See if I can get a potential HIMS move. That could be an interesting one to watch. ASTS. Yeah, I saw that. Remember? It's crazy, man. We had that conversation a few weeks back about why are we using cell phone towers? Why not satellites? Well, son of a bitch. ASTS signs deal with Verizon. The stock is going stratospheric. Nice play on words there. Yeah. ASTS. Holy crap. Pretty nice. So, how do we catch this thing now? Well, if you're already in it, congratulations. These highs would be the best pullback. Do you get that pullback? Probably not. At this point, it's about intraday action. That's it. At this point, it's about intraday action. You could watch the highs from this data, or from this, this news release, which is around 85. You could look to see if it establishes a low above 85 today, right here, for maybe that move up to 100. Maybe it's time for 100 on ASTS. This would really be the only other spot, 85. If you can establish a hold over 85, that's not bad. It looks like it did establish some nice holds around 80. You can see right here, this 80 spot established some short-term holds. So 85, 80, 75. Look at this thing go. Bam. Congrats to you guys along this one, man. Awesome. ASML, a little bit interested in the pullback to the daily 20. 942. And then finally APP on the reclaim of 619 yesterday. I'd like to see us get above this 650 spot for any more upside. So I have my alert set at 650. All right. So watching healthcare. Going to keep an eye on ASTS to see if something sets up. Going to keep an eye on that Amazon setup. Very much cautious of the market channel. NASDAQ under previous day lows is a cautionary spot to be long. And that's going to be it for today. So, if you guys could, before you head out, please press that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We got 2,800 people here, 1,100 likes. If you could get me to 1,500, that would be great. Before you head out, press that like button, subscribe. Thank you guys to everyone that donated today. B Pro, Ori, thank you. We missed the other one. Oh, because we had to reset the chat. And also the Norwegian, Mr. Norwegian, Bjorn, something like that. Appreciate you, man, if you're still here. I saw a message. Ty, did you see my post? I was so proud. What post, Ty? On Instagram? NVIDIA CEO says AI computing demand is up substantially in the last 6 months. Interesting. That news came out this morning. NVIDIA move on that at all? Yeah, it's holding a little bit. Getting a little... Yeah, it looks like you did actually get a little bit of a volume injection there. When was that news released? 5 minutes ago? Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Hope you have a fantastic trading day. TTD. I know the gap fill is going, right? Is it still going? Ooh, okay. It rejected the gap fill level. We talked about this yesterday. Look, 57. That's where it has to get over. 57. What happened at 57 yesterday? It's got smoked at it. So, yeah, it's got to get over 57. What did Bull do? Ouch. Whoa. What the hell's happened to Bull? Just sort of no life on this one, huh? Alright. Alright. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys. Well, today is Boom Boom Wednesday with ADR. So you guys in the group enjoy some ADR trading. I'll be with the mentorship group today on Wednesdays. Yeah. Hope you have a fantastic trading day, guys. And I will see you tomorrow. Peace and love.